We start these interviews asking everybody why they're running and why the voters, what's the case that you would make for voters to pick you in this race. We'll start with Paul.
Well, thank you, and it's great to be here with the SJR editorial board. Why I'm running and why I feel I would like to continue serving in this role. I believe I've done a good job here in the Sangamon County Auditor's Office. I believe that with my educational background, my experience, and the effectiveness with which I've had to provide to the role, that I've served well, and I would like to continue serving. In terms of education, I have a bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Illinois. In terms of experience, prior to serving as county auditor, I had a chance to serve in the Department of Financial Institutions, auditing and regulating licensees of consumer finance companies. After being in the Department of Financial Institutions and licensing and regulating and auditing consumer credit finance companies, I was in the Office of Banks and Real Estate for the state of Illinois and audited and regulated licensees of the Real Estate Salesperson Act and the Real Estate Broker Act, as well as licensees of the Real Estate Auction Act, and then was appointed to Sangamon County Auditor and have been serving in that role. We've gone above and beyond our duties as a Sangamon County Auditor, and we've been effective in some of the things that we've tackled beyond our daily responsibilities. We have saved taxpayer dollars. We've done some innovative things. We've tried to be transparent in terms of transparency. The first auditor in Sangamon County history to put all of our annual audits on the Sangamon County Auditor's Office webpage starting way back in 2002. This year, after piloting it in other counties, we saw that it would be a great thing to put Sangamon County's checkbook online. We did that, added it to our annual audits that are available online, as well as the Sangamon County salary histories and being able to look those up on the website. And so bottom line, with the educational background that I've got, the experience in the financial arena, and the effectiveness which I've had to serve in the Sangamon County Auditor's role, I would like to build on that and continue serving. There's some work yet to be done, and I'd like to see those through to completion.
Well, good morning. I'm Chris Boyster. I'm on the, I guess it's my turn.
It is your turn. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Chris Boyster. I'm on the county board and I'm running for county auditor. First, I want to say, I said this earlier, we had a spirited debate at WMAY. Paul and I are friends. I still plan on taking him to dinner when this is over, but we're going to talk about the issues. I think he's a good man, he has a good family, and I respect you. However, I think there are some clear differences between he and I'm running for county auditor because I think this office should serve as a fiscal and ethical watchdog for the citizens of the citizens and the taxpayers of Sangamon County. You know, a little bit of background about me. I was not born in Sangamon County. Bernie knows this whole story. I was born and raised in a small town called Sparta, Illinois. My mother was a factory worker. My father was a postal worker. We were a middle-income family. I moved here. I still live in the same little white house on Herndon Street that was supposed to be a starter home over in the north end, but I still live there, raised my kid there. I represent a working-class north end district, and I ran in 2010 because I felt we needed to bring new leadership, and I believe I've done that. And I'm running for auditor because I think that the citizens and the taxpayers of this county deserve someone who is going to stand up and speak out about how their tax dollars are being spent. I've been an independent voice. I think what's lacking in Sangamon County is a culture of independent thinkers and independent voters. You know, I've done that. I was the only member of the county board that voted against the pay increases for the countywide elected officials. I voted against this past budget. I continue to be an independent voice, and I'll bring that role as auditor. So,
Chris, though, I mean, what has he done something? What's he done to merit the voters replacing him with you? Like, what? You know, why should the voters fire him? I guess basically is the question.
Well, my opponent's been in office since 2002. The incumbent's been in office since 2002. I'm sure you're well aware, we just talked about this at WMAY, and it's an issue. I'll give you a clear example, and I've talked about this several times. For instance, Mr. Palazzolo's had a pay increase, $21,000 a year. He makes a single year. You make $21,000 more than you did when you started, and the roles and the responsibility of the auditor's office has been shifted to other departments. For instance, the payroll division is no longer in the auditor's office, so I feel like he's made more, done less. He's going to point to you how they've increased in other areas, but I think he's paid more, he's done less. And he hasn't. He has failed at being a fiscal watchdog. For example, when you have a company owned by Bill Salini that is getting a contract at one point $70,000 a month to do facility management type job performance, sweep the floors and mow the grass, things like that. He was silent until 2002. I think you said a while ago in 2010 you brought something up. For 8 years, the incumbent was silent. At that time, the taxpayers were being fleeced for that amount of money. Look, government will never change. We are in Illinois. We all know what it's like. Government will never change until we step up to the plate, Republicans and Democrats alike, and stop the type of politically connected, wasteful spending. And as auditor, I'll do that. He talked about the checkbook. I was saying in the beginning of this campaign, I think we need to open up the checkbook online. It happened. I'm very glad that happened. I'll continue that process. I think we need more transparency. I think we need a cultural change over at the county. But I will be no one's lapdog. I will not work for the county chairman. I will not work for the county board. I will work only for the taxpayers. Times are tough. And even if times are not tough, we need an independent thinker who's going to stand up. That's my only concern, is the taxpayers of Sangamon County.
Perhaps this would be a time for, I heard three things there, but Paul, if you want to...
Always count on Bernie to jump in.
Well, I think that the first would be the moving the personnel or payroll division out of your office, with pay raise. I guess I don't know if those issues are particularly linked, but why don't you address that?
Well, I would have to, because I believe it's misleading to say that we have not stepped up to the plate in terms of being a watchdog or being fiscally responsible in the county auditor's office. First of all, just please let me say that there really is no fiscal crisis in Sangamon County government like you may hear about at other levels of government. I believe that we have been responsible. We have been disciplined in how we address financial issues in county government here in Sangamon County. And you really do not have the kind of crisis mode in the fiscal arena like you have at other levels of government. Let's talk about divesting ourselves of the human resources function. For some reason, decades ago, human resources personnel had found its home in the county auditor's office, and it had probably been unwise for that to happen. The function of human resources, payroll, is audited just like a lot of other functions in Sangamon County. For the auditor to audit his or her own responsibilities damages the independence that is required in conducting internal audits. We divested ourselves of the Human Resources Department and allowed us to focus in on our true statutory responsibilities as the elected county auditor. In the Illinois state statutes, human resources or personnel is not listed as one of the duties of the county auditor's office. It made sense for that, for us to divest ourselves of that.
And that's under the county board now?
That is under the county board.
How many employees were moved over to the county board from that HR operation?
Two.
Two?
Two.
Okay. How many are total in your office right now?
Now 3, including myself.
Okay.
And what we did is that gave us an opportunity to narrow our focus and allow us to look at things a little differently and help correct some things that had really not had the time to be addressed with a 4-person office, including myself, with a majority of our responsibilities being human resources and personnel. For example, one of the things that we had a chance to do, and it was a story that was in the State Journal Register, was finding that Sangamon County was incorrectly paying a federal excise tax on our fuel purchases. We were able to, with our new ability to enhance our focus on our true statutory responsibility, find that Sangamon County was paying that tax incorrectly. We were able to apply to the IRS for everything that we were owed, what we could take from our responsibilities of paying that tax without having to pay it. And we received a refund, and we haven't paid that tax since, saving taxpayers approximately $28,000 annually by virtue of having the ability to have that focus, our statutory responsibility focus. We also had a chance to look at vehicles that were assigned to employees of Sangamon County. We were able to notice that several employees who have vehicles were not reporting that on their federal income tax. And so in February of 2008, we sent out a memo to all departments, saying that there are IRS requirements for those take-home vehicles that you have, and those employees who had take-home vehicles were now required to report that as income, as income for the, what do you call that, fringe benefit. And so that is another thing that those are just two small examples.
Does that save the county something, or?
Not necessarily, but it's the proper way to do that, and it's making sure that we're being as appropriate and in compliance as we must be. And so these are things that we have elevated our activity on, whether it's creating the Workplace Safety Board that has helped examine how injuries happen in the workplace and how we've been able to learn from those injuries and apply those lessons to other areas of Sangamon County government, to working on the voluntary severance plan that saved taxpayers since its second round in 2008, a total of $8 million. We have been active, and we have elevated that activity by virtue of removing a function that perhaps was inappropriate in its location and zeroing in our focus on what our statutory responsibilities were all about. We have not lost work product. We have added to what we do, elevated our activity, and made a difference as a result.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about, what about the pay raise? His point that you're doing less work for more money, is that a fair point? And if not, why not?
I believe that's completely unfair. Well, first of all, his radio ad right now is fraudulently reporting.
It is not fraudulently appointed. You have made $21,000 more since you became auditor in 2002.
If I may finish,
okay,
Chris.
That's fine. But you're accusing me of fraud, and I want to respond to that.
The radio ad says we've taken $21,000 a year in increases, and that reports to the listener that we have been increasing our salary by $21,000 a year, which is, if not fraudulent, misleading to the listener. And so as far as pay raises go, $21,000 over a 10-year period is an average of $2,100 a year. If you look at that from a percentage basis, from the very beginning of my starting tenure in the auditor's office, a $2,100 a year salary increase amounts to a little over 3%. And now at the salary level, the same $2,100 average salary increase is, is a little over 2%. I do not believe it's...
Those raises are approved they're set by the county board, correct?
They are set by the county board, and they are not auditor specific. Those are
for all county
offices that apply that same salary level, and those same increases have been applied to the coroner, and those same salary level increases have applied to the Sangamon County Recorder of Deeds, who's been a Democrat in that office since Gerald Ford was president. So it's certainly not an issue of being partisan for those amounts. It's what the county board has felt that they would want to offer.
Chris, go ahead.
Okay, couple things. First of all, what I'm questioning in regards
First of all, is the ad say, does it say $21,000 a year, or does it say $21,000 total?
It says a year. Because his salary is now $21,000 a year higher than what it was when he started making up, when he came into office. And that is the truth, and that is what we reported. I'm actually going to take a pay. There
I would offer you the copy of the ad to verify
there you go.
the fraudulent statement in the ad.
I can understand that he doesn't want to defend that.
I am defending it.
Well, because it sounds like it's each year, and you're saying it doesn't.
I'm saying the truth is he's had a pay increase, and and when I go door to door and I talk to senior citizens, and this is why I'm running, when I go to door and I talk to senior citizens, with the exception of this year, some of those folks did not even have a cost of living increase. I'm going to give that money back. I'm going to freeze the salary. I'm going to roll it back to 2008 levels when the fiscal crisis began, and I'm going to give that money back.
To the county or
to the county?
Okay.
I'm going to give that back write a check to the county. I think that those of us that live in especially Springfield need to see a government official stand up for them and do something with action. Now, where I'm questioning him also, I'm questioning him on the fact that he received over $21,000, over $20,000 worth of contributions from funds which were Cellini was involved in, and he did not, until 2010, do anything about a contract that was fleecing the taxpayers of Sangamon County for up to $70,000 a month. Now, he talks about this workplace safety board. I mentioned this a little earlier on the radio. It's those kinds of slips, those kind of things that the auditor's office has let go through the tracks. Now, he may be able to sit here and say, oh, we've done this, we've done that, but things that are important to him, things in which he clearly has a relationship with Mr. Cellini. He wrote a letter of leniency on his behalf. Things that are important to him, he let slip. I got a call this summer from an employee at the jail who was talking about workplace conditions there. I quickly, promptly acted upon that. Part of the problem we have with the work of, we've cut the budget so dry that we don't have money necessarily to fix some of those things. It was a ventilation issue in the county jail. Times are tough, budgets are lean, but when we have government waste such as spending up to $60,000 a month on a politically connected contract, I think that's a problem. He also says he's done a good job being a watchdog. My printer, the ink is running low. In looking at Tony Libre's political contributions and expenditures, he has a reimbursement here to the Sangamon County Circuit Clerk's Office for some expenditures, for political expenditures. Now, I don't...
What does that have to do with the office? Because Tony explained that when he was here.
But why would...
That's $190 total.
Well, there was more. There's actually, if you go back and look, there was more. I don't think, as the auditor's office should be a fiscal and ethical watchdog.
Right,
but the auditor's office...
The auditor's office doesn't oversee political funds.
No, but there should be no county or taxpayers' expenses paid for political farm.
Is this where he was buying the staff members' pizza?
When they had a meeting at night, and he was using his political funds to pay to buy pizza for...
Why was it why was the expenditure to the Sangamon County Circuit Clerk's Office? It appears here that it was, to me, I thought it looks as if he's paying it back to the county. But the truth of the matter is, the auditor's office should be very, very watching these expenditures. That's where you have a fiscal and ethical watchdog, and I think he's failed in those.
You brought up Cellini and Pacific Management without naming it twice, so Paul, you want to just respond to that?
Let me...
I
understand that.
The
Juvenile Detention Center. Let me go, I do want to comment on that, Bernie, but let me comment on what he's just raised. One of the things that we did, and I believe, Bernie, I've provided you a copy of this as well, and I can also provide a copy. One of the things that we did in terms of tightening our policies in Sangamon County government was to ensure that no county funds could be spent for any kind of party or any kind of, food product or beverage product to be spent on county employees unless it was for jurors. And so I can provide you with that exact change, if I don't already have it in this file with me. I can provide you that exact change. That was an initiative by our office to make sure that unless it was for a plaque or some kind of employee recognition that was not of a consumable nature, that was or a balloons or party or retirement party or anything like that, county funds could not be spent in that regard. And that was a policy that we enacted.
Is that because of the Joe Lindley's office when they were collecting money and using it to buy stuff for Christmas parties and stuff?
That was in addition to that. That helped us lock down our petty cash policy, that particular incident. This other incident, we just saw that, sometimes there were retirement events that county funds were being used for, and we wanted to make sure that we enacted a policy through the county board to prevent that.
And when did the policy come into effect?
It was approximately 2010.
A lot of stuff happened in 2010.
Okay, talk about Cellini
Yeah,
for us.
let's go to that.
Yeah.
That was, before there was any kind of a candidate thing, so I'm not doing it for election purposes, just to help clarify that.
It just so
But-
happens you did a lot of this prior to, you've been in office since 2002. Why did it take you 8 years to establish these types of policies? And now, yes, it was prior to you running for mayor, but in 2011, you had intentions of running for mayor.
Well, let me tell you that I can tell you that it came about as a result of what we had seen going on in the Park District, when there were those kind of expenditures going on at the Park District that needed to also make sure that we didn't have that same kind of
Is
issue.
that an Illinois Times story about
It
their
was.
credit cards?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
So that's exactly where that gave birth to.
Okay.
Now, Pacific Management. For my opponent, Chris, to say that we have not paid attention to this or have been silent, that is absolutely not true. We have, and we've had these discussions with Bernie Schoenberg on when we had the opportunity for the surplus that the contract with Pacific Management had generated to apply to future payments. We have pointed that out to the county administrator. The county administrator and myself worked to help us not have any payments to Pacific Management during fiscal years 2005-06, 2006-07, and a portion of 4-5 and a portion of 7-8. Again, showing that the reason why things were happening at the juvenile detention centers was built for a capacity of approximately 50 individuals, and that capacity never really has been quite achieved. And so the amount of funds through all contracts that were providing services to the juvenile detention center were really for a capacity that was not really ever achieved. The federal guidelines for incarcerating juveniles had changed, and the judges were changing how they were sending young people to the juvenile detention center. It was never really operating at capacity. And to say that I have done nothing is again fraudulent. We had, and misleading, we had the Maximus report show when it evaluated the situation at the juvenile detention center, that the launching pad for looking into it was a review of the county auditor's office. We did an analysis of what was being spent at the juvenile detention center in all arenas, and what per individual housed at the juvenile detention center was perhaps a little too high for what was going to be fiscally appropriate and fiscally sound policy. That launching pad delved into the Maximus study that resulted in the County Board Finance Committee and the County Board Court Services Committee meeting together and voting to take up some recommendations from Maximus to no longer house females at the detention center, to no longer house individuals from outside of Sangamon County at the detention center, and to redo all contracts having to do with services at the juvenile detention center. And at that point, when the opportunity to sever our contractual ties with Pacific Management, a company that had been formerly owned by Mr. Cellini, my opponent, Chris, voted not to sever those ties. When everybody else voted to move along, he voted to keep the contract in place, the only one to vote in that regard. And so I point out that, it's fun to be in politics, and it's fun to make charges that the voters might take as populist, but you've got to be honest, and you can't have it both ways.
You have to be honest. When you said that I was Sheila Stock-Smith's campaign manager, that was a lie.
No, well,
you
that
have
was-
to be honest when you tell folks that I'm going to have a direct pipeline to Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who I've never met in my life. Mr.
I've never said that.
Palazzolo.
I've never said that.
If you're going to send out letters that are dishonest, don't sit here and call me dishonest.
Well, let's backtrack
When the
a little
truth of the
bit.
matter is,
On that accusation, Chris, let's backtrack a little bit and point out about that. When you had expressed to me at the end of the Sangamon County Board meeting that you were glad that I was no longer a candidate for mayor because now we don't have to run against you, I was assuming that you were speaking of yourself.
Well, you're the auditor. You should get your facts right.
I audit numbers. I don't audit political scientists.
Well, here is in
Please
regards
allow me to point out the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting and the Court Services meeting where my opponent voted to keep those that Pacific Management contract in place. And you can't have it both ways. I know you like to point things out like that, but and then also the analysis referenced in the Maximus report that shows that our analysis was a launching pad for what we now had seen vote in the last couple of months.
What about this vote, Chris?
Okay, well, first let me go back. The analysis was not done once again to 2010. He had been auditor since 2002. Connect the dots here. Now, he can deny it, but if you connect the dots here, you have an individual who has ties to Salini through contributions. You have an individual who is considering maybe running for mayor the following year, 2002. He does an analysis.
By the way, when you're talking about Salini contributions, you're generally talking about the Sangamon County Republican Foundation.
Which he signed the checks.
And Republican Party, right?
Yes, and he signed the checks. He was treasurer. He was related to funds
But
that he
of
was
course,
involved
gets his funds from all
in.
kinds.
Now, let's go back to, I did not specifically vote to keep the contract. And this is why, I'm a single Democratic County board member. I've often been the individual, like I said earlier, who is the lone no vote. I was a no vote on this as well because business as usual. There's a culture over there. 90 minutes comes through. We have to digest this. You've got AFSCME sitting in the room saying that they have a problem with this. You're talking about laying people off. I'm not going to shove something down the taxpayer's throat without due diligence. And I have a responsibility as a county board member to do that.
Did you explain your vote at the time, or was it just or did you speak at the
No, I
meeting?
just said no. I voted no because we had 90 minutes, and again, I believe. Look, I'm a minority in the member of the minority party over there on that. I voted one no. It still went through, but that is the kind of drive and determination that I'm going to bring to the auditor's office. I'm not going to wait 8 years for these things to happen. So you were silent. You were silent for an 8-year period.
Well, he said that they started withholding funds in '05, which was a 3-year period.
3-year period, excuse me.
Well,
But you were
there's a big
silent.
difference between 3 and 8.
There is a big difference, so excuse me. Since 2002 to 2005, I'll correct myself on that.
So
But he
Chris-
was silent.
Go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead.
So you talk about a culture over there, and to me that seems like it's code for the Republicans control everything, and that needs to stop. Is that really what you're talking about?
I think we need an independent voice. Someone who is not, you know what, it's a great part of the checks and balances system. I'm not going to be beholden to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or any of my political contributors. I'm going to be beholden to the taxpayers. And Paul's office has done good things. I'm not going to say that Paul's office hasn't done good things. But I think that we have a moral and ethical responsibility to not let some of the things I've talked about slip through the cracks. There was, even if a 3 or 8 year period, there was a 3-year period where the taxpayers were still being fleeced.
When you say fleeced, I mean, you
Taxpayer.
don't know exactly what that company did or what, right? I mean, you mentioned sweeping floors, but you don't know everything they did, because I understand, like,
If you look at the
CWLP
contract,
payments go through them and stuff like that, so part of the contract money is actually to pay the elected.
still,
bill.
and I've explained that to voters going door to door, and people say, still, where can I get that job? It's a great response, because people are like, well, if you're paying that much to do facility-type management positions, go ahead.
Well, with all due respect, Chris, if the voters that you're speaking to are not being told the full picture, well, naturally it seems that men from Mars had landed. But indeed, as Bernie pointed out and has been reported, those amounts include pass-throughs to utility payments as well as salaries for individuals that care for the juvenile center. But to say that is misleading, and we have been effective. We have been making sure that we do our due diligence, and it's nice to be able to to be a candidate, but you have to be honest and truthful. When you're
And
a
you have
candidate.
not been honest either, saying things such as that I was Sheila Stock-Smith campaign manager. Again, there, I'm going to quote your favorite person, Ronald Reagan. There you go again. There you go again. Saying that I'm dishonest when the truth of the matter is he did have a pay increase. Responsibilities of the office did decrease. It's truthful.
You see,
You can
can't say this-
argue
my friend,
semantic.
you can't
Please do
say
not touch
that-
me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You cannot say that our responsibilities decreased. You cannot say that because we were able to elevate our level of focus and efforts on
And
our
that
statutory
one-
responsibilities. I have to.
What about the county code?
What about the county? code?
Doesn't the county code state that the Sangamon County Code that the auditor's office has the personnel, the payroll portion?
The
You're going
Illinois
by
state-
state statute. I'm talking about county statute.
Either
The
here or
auditor's
there.
office should audit, and the auditor's office should look, the truth of the matter is, you might have had increased responsibilities in some areas, but you decreased your responsibilities when it came to the payroll division. You farmed it out, yet you still took a pay increase.
My friend, you're mixing apples and oranges because we could not continue to keep the human resources personnel function in the auditor's office and audit it independently. Virtually any CPA or any county auditor in the state of Illinois will tell you that it was inappropriate to have those functions under the duties of the Sangamon County auditor in
I
order to be
disagree
able
with
to
you.
audit it effectively.
I disagree.
That's just sound practice.
Yeah, now, Chris, didn't you say that you wanted the
I'd bring it
personnel
back.
function
I bring the personnel function back.
You think we could
The audits are done by outside audit firms anyway.
Internally, we audit the functions of
Well, we
Sangamon
do, and
County
there's checks and
government.
balances systems there as well. I would bring it back, because I think if you're going to,
And that
and I'm
sounds to
going to
me
do
like a-
less work,
How are you gonna
more
talk to
work
the-
for
how are you gonna-
than less
whoa,
weight.
whoa. How are you going to talk the Republican County Board into giving you that function back?
Well, I mean, again, I'm
'Cause
an
it would have to be done that way, correct? They would have to vote to give it to you?
I'm an independent thinker. I have relationships with other county board members. I think I would go to the county and I'd make a case, and I would do that.
Let me follow up on your comment, Chris, that I am nobody's political lapdog, as I have been accused of being. I mean, I have, and as Bernie knows, I have given him instances on when I have taken heat and lost friendships for not being a political lapdog. And to insinuate that I do not act in such a manner would also be misleading. Because I am nobody's political lapdog, and we address things that are without regard to one's letter following their name, and whether it's pointing out issues with regards to the coroner's office, or whether it's contracts that have been reviewed and awarded to individuals who are extremely well connected that have not been recipients of those contracts.
Can you give a
I'm
specific
nobody's
example of what you're
political
talking about here, where you've lost a friendship? I mean, I'm just interested, that's an interesting comment.
It's, Bernie knows about it with
But our board might not, that's why I'm asking.
the body shop repair.
Oh, the Frank Edwards.
The
thing.
Frank Edwards, yeah, I remember that. But explain, I mean, we're on camera, so, I mean, what do we, explain to people what you're talking about.
There was a need
I
to.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was a need to review how body shop repairs were conducted, and so we put a team together to accept bids, to evaluate those bids for the service, and it was awarded, and it was not awarded to a
Take the Republican alderman whose wife is the coroner.
And how long was that contract in place?
there was no contract.
Or, I mean, how long did they were they performing those responsibilities?
The firm itself, probably close to 15 years,
And
When did Frank buy the firm?
approximately 07.
And when did you bring attention to this?
It had been late last year.
2011. I think he can sit here and say he's nobody's lapdog, but the facts are the facts.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. The party says we're not going to support you for mayor. He doesn't run, and there's money in his account. Again, collected to Sangamon County Foundation. There is a contract that took him years after being in office to do something about, connected to somebody who's giving him money. So you can say you're not a lapdog, but...
I'm not.
Well, you are.
So, all right. You've mentioned this letter. Can you expound on what you're talking about? I think I know what you're talking about, but explain for people.
Oh, there's been a couple letters, and I actually am glad he sent them out. It gained me a few Republican votes, calling me a connected Chicago insider, taking my work with the Illinois Council Against Handgun Violence and saying that I was going to take the gun rights away, that this would be a spokespersonship for gun issues. Ludicrous. The auditor's office has nothing to do with guns.
And you don't work for them anymore.
And I don't work for them. It's a fundraising political fear type letter. Again, he can sit here and say my friend, but the truth of the matter, he has demonstrated that he is a political person. I believe Irv Smith called you a political hack. He is not going to...
That's the strawberry calling the fire truck red.
Well, hey. He is a political hack, and he is going to protect his political interests before the interests of the taxpayer. And I'm going to be a fiscal and ethical watchdog. And there are instances where you can point to, Paul, for instance, the Cellini contract, that you did things after the fact, or you were silent.
I disagree, Chris. Did you have a fundraiser in Chicago, by the way, hosted by Democratic President of the Senate, John Cullerton? And
I did, and your niece was there. You sent your niece to my fundraiser.
I didn't send my niece.
Well,
anywhere.
your niece was there. Yeah, I did, but it was I did have a fundraiser. I've relationships. They're not going to
Also
dictate
with
what to do with me.
Democratic Majority Leader Barbara Flynn Curry.
I did, but they were not there. I have not received a penny from them for this race.
Cullerton and Curry's name were on the invitation.
They were on the invitation. They haven't given me anything for this race. And it was mostly my son's godmother was there.
But you did have a fundraiser in Chicago with Democratic legislators of the state of Illinois.
But the letter went out prior to me having that, Paul. And,
That means I'm a pretty good predictor of how things work.
I disagree with you. I do have I do have relationships, but they're not going to tell me how to run the auditor's office. It's ridiculous. It's based on fear. And he took advantage of me being a Democrat and wanted to base in that. But look, we live in Republican and Democrat alike. We live in Sangamon County. We know what it's like. And I'm going to step forward and do those things and put those things in process. For instance, I'm going to give the money back to the General Revenue Fund to show and demonstrate that enough is enough.
Paul, talk about what you'd do if you got another term. What would you do in terms of improving the office?
Well, one of the things that we have,
changes.
one of the things that we have to continue and then hopefully see towards some more efforts is the Workplace Safety Board. And a very quick review, the Workplace Safety Board we had a chance to create, and that was in 2009, by the way, not in 2010. And the Workplace Safety Board is designed as a grouping of employees and county board members to review injuries that happen in the workplace. And once those injuries occur, we ask the employee and the supervisor to come in and let us know what happened, and if there's anything that we can learn from those injuries and those incidents, and then apply those lessons learned to not only the place where the injury occurred, but also to other Sangamon County departments. So we have made progress in that regard. In 2010, we had 104 workplace injuries. In 2011, by virtue of our efforts in the Workplace Safety Board, we had 74 workplace injuries, nearly a 30% decrease in the amount of injuries in the workplace. Now, what that does fiscally is when we have our workman's comp insurance provider, the Illinois Public Risk Funds, giving us our premium costs for a specific fiscal year. Once we continue to lower those workplace injuries and the amounts that are incurred for the medical results of those injuries, then our premiums will reduce. Right now, we're into the second year of a positive year of reduction of workplace injuries, and an even more positive year in the medical financial responsibilities that have resulted, that we could see a significant decrease in our premiums that we pay to the Illinois Public Risk Funds. Now, can we work toward perhaps being, just investigating, perhaps being self-funded in our workers' compensation arena? And so that's something that we need to pursue. We need to see how well we continue to work with our Workplace Safety Board, as well as hiring our medical case management provider that helps shepherd those injured employees back either on the job or at reduced duty, once that injury has occurred and healing process has begun. So we're working toward that goal, and then we're also looking at being more engaged in the grant process. We need to embrace the opportunity for grants that are out there to help with Sangamon County resources and helping to get things done. Our office, elevating our responsibilities with the opportunity, has been able to fish for grants from providers that have resulted in approximately $600,000 coming into our direct efforts in the workplace safety arena. I mean, we have been able to use grants to purchase leather gloves for animal control employees so that nips on the finger don't cause an injury for those employees. We've been able to purchase harnesses and lifts that for carcasses on the road that normally employees would have to, the highway department, would have to remove physically. We have now equipment purchased from these grants that have been able to provide that effort and significantly reduce the potential for injury with these grant funds. So we need to go beyond the workers' compensation arena of grants and reach out to other grant opportunities, and I think that with a new term that we would have the opportunity to do that.
Did you say there's a number of grants you've received already or something?
Yes, approximately a total over the years, $600,000, or roughly $600,000.
Usually from the state or?
No, the Illinois Public Risk Funds and other safety type entities.
Paul, I have a question. What I understood you to say about moving toward self-assured status?
Self-funded?
Self-funded or so. Can you quantify that in terms of the premium that the county pays for their workers' comp insurance versus the amount that you pay out for claims? Would you be able to, by not paying those premiums, have enough funds to actually, based on your previous experience, the money to actually become self-insured or self?
And that's what we have to research as we continue to move through the process. Approximately, the premium right now is approximately $1.2 million, $1.1 million.
That's for workers' comp?
Correct.
1.3?
1.1, average 1.1, $1.2 million. And that is paid to the Illinois Public Risk Funds, and that if we should go self-funded, and the model that we would use, that Sangamon County has worked so successfully, and whether it's Republican-controlled or not, I mean, Sangamon County has done a lot of things successfully in spite of how many individuals serve in offices or unelected on the county board. We have a very successful model of self-funded health insurance program that is right now at a balance of approximately $8 million that is funded with the county board. The county provides funds and employees provide funds, and it's self-funded and self-managed. We have a board of managers in Sangamon County that's comprised of employees and county board members, both bargaining unit and non-bargaining unit employees. And this program has been in effect and has worked extremely well, to the point where it can soar on its own. And we provide resources to this Board of Managers in terms of financial information, but they set the premiums for their fellow employees at Sangamon County. And the balance is such that it has been a successful model of self-funded health insurance. We have done this extremely well. There was a time in around 2002, 2003 that the fund was in a bit of a financial jeopardy, and we needed to be a little more restrained in how we were setting premiums. And once the philosophy got to that point, the Board of Managers realized that they need to be responsible in how they do that. They've taken it on, and they now have soared on their own to success to achieve that successful model. If we can do it well with self-funded health insurance in Sangamon County, maybe we can apply those lessons to researching how we can do self-funded workers' comp insurance.
Beyond the auditor's responsibility to audit those processes, what other role has the auditor's office played in bringing about these changes?
In the workers' comp?
Or the health? Either.
Well, the health has been providing advice and information. The Board of Managers has set their own guidelines and policies, and they fly with success as a team, and they do a fantastic job. With regards to workers' comp, we're intimately involved in the financial arena of that, and like I said, with the Workplace Safety Board, and working with Illinois Public Risk Funds, and developing those changes that we need to. Once the Safety Board makes a recommendation, we help shepherd that through the county board process.
Thank you.
All right, unless anybody else has a question, we've kind of run through our time here. You guys good? Thanks for coming in, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Like the little auditor's race, huh?
Paul, you've got two other employees other than you, right?
Yes.
Has that always been the head count for the auditing function of the office compared with HR?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Prior to the divesting of the human resources responsibilities was just me and another individual.
Okay.
And when we had a chance to divest ourselves of the human resources function, that provided an opportunity to add another team member to help us elevate our activities and our statutory responsibilities. And so we have done that well, and we have been successful in the efforts we've made, and we're also actively engaged in the budget process with our team. And so we are the second smallest auditor's office in the state of Illinois, ranging from 2 employees to 11.
Chris,
What's your annual budget?
Approximately 200 and
I know I said we were done, but
280,000.
That's exactly my point. I think at the pay level that the auditor's making, I'm going to bring that function back. I'm actually going to do it for less. I'm going to give them, take a pay cut and freeze my salary.
do you think it's appropriate, is 2 people appropriate, or to do the auditing function, is that enough, or do you need more?
I think that we could do it with the resources that we have, moving the function back in. He's against that. I'm for moving the payroll function back to the auditor's office. The 2 gentlemen that are there, I think they do a great job. I've worked with them on the county board. I have no problems with them. I think there's a pretty big pay discrepancy between the 2 of them. I think, I don't know, I remember glancing, but I think that's because one has a little bit more responsibility than the other. The deputy position does, but I think they do a great job, and I would, if I'm auditor, I'll keep those 2 individuals.
That was going to be my next question.
I will keep them. If they're willing to serve with me, I'll keep them. This is not about party politics to me. This is about standing up for the people like I grew up with, the working class folks, the district that I represent, making sure that their money is spent not just efficiently, but we're also an effective government. One of the things I will do is I will hold what I call an open door policy. 1 day a month, I will have office hours where county employees who want to come in and talk to the auditor's office about how they can do their job, not just more efficiently, but how they can do their job more effectively. And I'll take those recommendations back to their department heads. I think we can go above and beyond, even more. And those are some of the things that I will do.
We have done that. We have gone above and beyond. We have made a difference, and we have been effective. My opponent talks about being a watchdog for his constituents. His record of attendance at committee meetings where dollars are spent has been significantly inadequate. 57% attendance record at committee meetings where nearly $4 million of expenditures have not had a chance to have his eyes review them. And so I think that would be a telltale sign of, again, misleading where we would say that a watchdog
How much
status.
money was spent where you were traveling? How many expenditures? How much money was spent where you were traveling the country and you were away from the auditor's office in your role as the Kiwanis International President?
Well, my role of Kiwanis International President was a service role, helping make a difference in the lives of others. But let me answer your question.
I'm fine for that. Just don't do it
Can
on
I
the
answer?
taxpayer's dime. Yes.
Thanks, my friend. Whether it was a Friday or a Monday, those amounts that were reviewed or needed review were under my review. The cumulative days of being away resulted from either Fridays or Mondays being away.
And I often have the opportunity to review those bills after the committee meetings. Let me explain why the committee, and this again goes back to the cultural thing I talk about in the business as usual. I don't get off work till 5 o'clock. There has been numerous occasions where I walked into the county building at 5:03 and the meeting was over. 5:03. I just talked to Doris Turner on the phone. She said she agrees. There were several times where she would be going.
3 minutes to get to work to hear from a president.
Well, I mean, I'm saying it like I've left early. I've left at 4:45. I've taken personal time to go do it. By the time I got all the way from Wabash Avenue over here, the meeting was done. That has happened on numerous occasions.
But Chris, as a county board member, you had a chance to change the culture. You had a chance to
And
be
I've
a
done that.
spokesperson.
I have done that. I have
guys,
stood
we're
up.
We're done.